A bit of a shocking confirmation has been revealed in the case of Riley Strain. According to Metro Nashville Police Department, there is no ongoing investigation into Riley's case any longer. This information was shared by News Nation's Brian Enton, who has covered this case very closely and extensively along with the family, and he shared this information in a recent post to his X account where he confirmed this information with the Metro Nashville Police Department. So let's take a look at what Brian had to say about this in his post. He writes, "Latest today from Nashville Police is no ongoing investigation into the death of Riley Strain, as there was no evidence of anything other than accidental death." And for as much as we have covered and seen throughout this case, you can see how this information is a bit of a surprise, especially immediately following an interview that was done with family friend Chris Dingman, where in that interview with News Nation, he kind of goes into more detail about a secondary autopsy that was ordered by the family, and there had been more revelations found within that autopsy, including the fact that Riley was found without his pants, found without his boots, as well as there was no water in his lungs. And also in that interview, Dingman spoke about how on the night of Riley's disappearance on March 8th, there was a piece of this investigation that seemed to be fresh info coming from the family, as we learned that Riley apparently had fell into bushes. A homeless individual was nearby. That individual, Dingman claims, called out to other homeless individuals who were also nearby, saying that it was just a intoxicated person who fell into the bushes and that everything was okay. Police were initially looking into this person as a person of interest. However, they made claims that there was someone else they were looking into. And this was all according to Dingman in his most recent interview. Let's take a look back at exactly what he had to say in that interview, because, learning this information that it is now not an ongoing investigation after what we just heard from the family friend, it is just a bit surprising. So let's recap that. Here's what he had to say in his recent interview with News Nation. Dingman confirmed that the family did have a second autopsy, actually in Tennessee, following the Metro Nashville autopsy from a private individual company that does that. The original autopsy came out just like theirs did, with, no obvious signs of trauma, as in weapons, guns, or knives, etc., but they were able to do a little more testing on specific items. One thing that threw the family for a loop was the coroner going on record with a news person in Nashville stating about the lack of water in his lungs. It raises more questions. I'm not a crime drama person by no means, but usually water in the lungs means that they were alive when they went into the water. So more questions, but we hope they're going to get some answers at the toxicology. I just hope that this doesn't get swept underneath the rug, because we, the family, deserve more answers than what we have. Now, Dingman continued in this interview where he touched on how Riley was only located with his shirt and watch, and his pants and boots were missing. He added, "Riley, we were told," which blew the family away. It actually went out on social media, and I screenshotted it and sent it to our war room and was like, who in the world is this who is releasing this information? Because at the time, certain family members didn't even know about that, which really kind of blew us away. Not sure how they got this information. Once again, one more question, but yeah, unfortunately, the only thing that was found with him, as the police stated in their report, was the watch and the shirt. Everything else was not with him when he was found. And lastly, really one of the more interesting pieces from this interview was the persons of interest that he claimed the Metro Nashville PD were looking into in this case. He told News Nation, "Actually, one of the people of interest, a little bit after an hour Riley was found, I was back at the scene and just happened to see that person. And so we had a group of volunteers who kind of followed the gentleman. We called the police, let him know that we had found him because we hadn't been notified they had talked to him yet, and was told by the police that that was no longer a person of interest. They had somebody else they were interested in. But we know from the homeless people that live there that that was the person that was supposedly on the road when Riley fell into the bushes, or whatever happened, and yelled back down that this was somebody who had been drinking. It was okay. So once again, a little more confusion. I just hope that the ball hasn't been dropped on this. There's numerous people in the videos at the detention center that coincide with the police officer's body cam and a timestamp where they show up on footage still walking north. I strongly believe, and it may just be a family loved one knowing we want some more answers, but I think there is somebody out there that knows what actually happened that night, and we would love for them to come forward. Now, another thing that I'd like to point out besides Dingman's recent interview that we just covered is another interesting piece of information that has been shared by one of Riley's family members, his stepfather. As you can see here, this is an article from News Channel 5 out of Nashville who spoke to a body farm expert out of the University of Tennessee. This person also claims and alleges that Riley's stepfather has shared that they have big things to share next week. So again, this is, we're learning that the ongoing investigation is apparently no longer active in the case of Riley, but yet the family has these concerns that they have raised and have also made claims that there are big things to share next week. There have been a lot of moving parts in this investigation. Early on, search crews were all over the place looking for Riley. It went from "we don't believe he's in the river," we had heard that, to they located him in the river 8 miles downstream from downtown Nashville. We saw various surveillance footage throughout the city that night tracking Riley's path. We noticed that he looked to be intoxicated early on in the footage from his path. And then later on, we see a police officer who makes contact with Riley, exchanges a greeting, and Riley appeared to be coherent in that exchange with the officer and then continued on the path northbound. And again, the family has now raised more questions, raised more concern regarding the autopsy, ordering a second autopsy. We're finding out that there was no pants, there was no boots, it was just his shirt, it was just his watch. The theory of no foul play is still being tossed around here. We have not really heard much information other than there appeared to be no foul play, but was there any trauma necessarily to the body? That has not really been revealed as of yet, as well as the autopsy report. We know the manner of death has been ruled as accidental. However, I don't think that there has been a cause of death revealed. Obviously, we are still waiting on that toxicology report. That most likely is what they are waiting on to finalize the cause of death and finalize that autopsy report. So again, shocking information as we have learned that the case of Riley Strain, according to the MMPD, is apparently closed, no longer ongoing. As we continue to wait on the toxicology report, we will continue to bring updates and developments in this case, hoping that the toxicology returns soon. Sometimes they can take some time to come back. Hopefully in this matter, though, they will return sooner rather than later. So guys, let us know your thoughts down below in the comments on this. That's your latest update here at CountryCast. Be sure to subscribe so you never miss out on any breaking updates and news.